Hey, beautiful people, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Good Up podcast. I'm one of your hosts. The other beautiful host is right here, and we also have Kayra in the studio once again for the first time since 2020. Very excited about that.
That's
Ooh,
correct.
balloons.
Oh, shout out to the patrons who just saw
Yeah,
those
the patrons
balloons.
just see Zoom welcome, Kayra. Anyway, welcome to all the people. Today is going to be a very good episode of Good Up because we here. Today's episode is about self-discovery. We're going to talk a bit more about that later. Fuss, you know the drill. You know the fucking drill. We start every episode with our two favorite segments. The fuss is I'm gonna start with Spotted being good up because I know what coming for the hill I dying on. So Spotted being good up. It's where we celebrate the people in our lives and we give them their flowers while they are still on earth. And I just want to say I love this segment so much because this morning we actually posted a clip from a couple of episodes ago when we highlighted Adam O. And Adam was so emotional about the fact that we featured him. He was so like grateful.
It
And
was
Really?
so
yeah,
beautiful. It was so real too. I was like, he deserves all this
he
recognition
He
because it is
does.
does.
not easy to be an artist and to like do what he does. I was like, this was so
Exactly.
real. Shout out to
I
Yeah.
believe it.
Adamo.
No, I
And
mean
shout out to
he's put in
Gabrielle for
so
that
much work.
too.
Gabrielle
Yeah,
definitely ate down with
she
that one.
did.
Like that was a
She
really good one
did.
because he
Yeah,
deserved that record. And I feel bad that he didn't get it sooner, to be honest.
exactly.
Like, but
But if
everything
nobody else gonna
in
call you
Divine
good up,
correct
good up
timing.
gonna
timing.
call you good up. You know?
Hey,
Period.
So shout out to
yeah.
him. But yeah, it's becoming my favorite part of the show because we're able to celebrate just so many different people for what they do and even outside of them having a platform, just literally for being themselves, like, so
Yes.
Yeah.
spotted being good up. Deidre, do you want to go first with your person that was spotted being good up?
You know what? I had a very unserious one because I had forgotten who I chose, but I just remembered because we gave Adamo his flowers. And this one is very general, but hear me out. I want to just go ahead and give this one to all of Gen Z. For many reasons. First of all, shout out to all the Sandy Hook babies that are currently in college who's asking
Oh,
the police,
wow.
where the fuck was y'all at when we were like the police are basically the active shooters now. Okay.
Mm.
And the Sandy Hook babies are in college protesting and they're keeping the police out. Okay. They're not letting the police get away with their fuck shit. So aside from them though, I was at work today and I re-entered the food and beverage, the customer service industry. And I overheard one of my Gen Z staff that I'm leading say something that's not expected of them, I might add. But I overheard her telling one of our coworkers that she's trying to learn Spanish so she could better understand when Spanish speaking customers come in. This is a white woman, okay, who does not speak Spanish, but she wants to learn Spanish so she can better understand our Spanish speaking customers. And I'm not even gonna bother going up to her and telling her how big of a deal I find that to be. But the reason why I want to shout out Gen Z specifically is because there was a time when people in customer service would be irritated at having to try to help out somebody who doesn't speak the same language as them. There was a time where people in this country felt like, oh, if you're here, you need to learn English. But I feel like now it's becoming more normal. Like, no, let me try to learn another language because we have so many people who live in this country whose first language is not English. And that just warmed my heart. And it don't sound like a big deal, but when you really think about it,
It
and
is.
you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
shouldn't asked to do this. We're not expected to learn another language, but she's like, yo, I want to get better at Spanish, even if it's just like some basic stuff, just so I could better understand and support our Spanish speaking customers. And I was like, and mind you,
Love that.
this is not like a Latina woman who was raised in a Latin household but don't know. And this is somebody who, for all intents and purposes, like they don't have no reason to learn Spanish, right? They don't have family that speaks Spanish, but they just want to be a better member of the community. And I was like, bruh, like Gen Z is the fucking shit, dog. Like, I love that. Between that and then of course these college students who are protesting and who ain't playing, okay, I'm just like, we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I just came from saying this recently, like our generation might not be alive to see when the world is a better place, but I have faith that the world is going to be a better place just by, I mean, if Gen Z kicking ass at this shit, imagine Gen Alpha. Like,
Yes.
Gen Alpha is officially the X-Men. Like, it just is what it is. So that's my pause in spotted being good up is all of Gen Z, and I'm gonna just group Gen A in there too, the Alpha generation. So
Yeah.
I have
Period.
hope, and I'm proud to know that I have one person that's a member at our group that I literally created. So
Period.
because I made that little mother. Okay,
The kids are going to be all right. For sure,
they're
for
gonna
sure, for
be
sure.
okay, and I'm
Yeah.
happy with that.
Yeah, I've the protests that are going on in colleges around the country, and if you are not aware, there are something like 70 something different universities across the country that have established encampments. Basically students protesting until their universities divest from associating with the state of Israel. It's in support of Palestine and freeing Palestine. And when I tell you these kids bought a fucking life, they are at the point where police trying to come clear them out, and they have barricades preventing police from coming to them. Faculty is walking out and like starting to defend those kids. Like it's the most
It's
hopeful I
beautiful
have
to
felt in a
watch.
really long time, because God knows our government ain't doing nothing, and God knows half of you ain't doing shit either. And acting like nothing ain't going on. I've said it on a podcast before. Free Palestine. It's backwards.
Free Palestine.
But yeah,
Period.
I think that was a perfect spotted being good up. So mine is going to sound extremely fucking selfish. My positive spotted being good up is me, bitch.
You know what, period.
Mine is me. I got promoted and I got a raise.
Oh my
And I'm
gosh.
very excited about it, and I'm exhausted, and I've been walking my ass off, and I, shit ain't getting easy at work, but I worked for it. I feel like I deserved it, and I earned it, and
Absolutely.
they put a senior in
Yes.
front of my fucking title. I was like, ooh, senior.
Period.
Ooh.
So,
We love to see it. You was an adult for real.
I know.
Yes, girl. Let me tell you, it may not be getting
Wow, I
easier
am
at work, but you know what
responsible.
is getting easier? That cash flow, honey.
Exactly.
Hello.
And y'all know my
girl
goal
is a
in
grown up.
exactly. My goal in life is not to be career oriented. My goal in life is to fund my lifestyle. So that's what
Yes.
I've been working towards. I'm not a very like, oh, and my next goal is president and CEO. Like, no, I don't
Yeah.
care about them fucking things. I just want
Yeah.
money. So
Hello, say that
so
shit.
thank God for that. But you know how Snoop Dogg gave an acceptance speech, and he was like, I'd like to thank me. I want to thank me for never giving up on me. I want to thank me for doing all those late nights. Like, yeah, I want to thank me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
that.
So
You deserve that.
I was
You
spotted being good
do.
up.
Yeah.
You gotta give yourself flowers every now
You
and then.
have to.
Um
Because if you don't, who will?
exactly. I'm gonna know anyway.
And if you don't know what kind of flowers you like, how people gonna know what flowers to give?
Period.
Okay.
Period. So Kayra, who is your person spotted being good up?
Ironically, my person has a little bit of both of you guys' responses in there. So my person is my son Koa, who's a part of Gen Alpha. He's awesome. He's gonna be 1 on this upcoming Friday. So I was also spotted being good up because I've been a mother for 1 year.
Period.
Bruh, you survived the first
crazy.
year. You made
Period.
a person and kept him alive for a year. It's all
For
you, my
1
girl. It's all
year.
you.
Like, that is so insane. It has been the craziest, wildest ride of my life, like from since getting pregnant to now. And like just the space that we both are in, like he's about to start walking, like he's eating solids. He be ba 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 all day, just talking and like just coming into himself. And it is like so wonderful to see. And then even myself, like growing into motherhood and growing into my womanhood, it's just been such a journey, one that I definitely was not prepared for when it happened, but then it did happen and we like sort of just embraced it. So yeah, Koa and I, we've been good up.
Oh, well, happy
Period.
birthday to your baby boy and happy
Thank you.
mama-versary to you.
Exactly.
Thank
Shout out to
you.
Shout
Thank
out
you so
to
much.
you.
Yeah, it was hard. What's that TikTok sound? I don't know how I did it. I just did it. It was hard. Like,
Period. You
he
got
alive,
this.
he breathing, we good.
hey,
And
he
he
happy.
happy. Yeah.
Yep.
You that's all that matters. That's what's up. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. I like that one. Ooh.
Thank you.
Right, that's perfect. So next segment is the hills that we're dying on.
Yeah.
Y'all know what we do for
I
this
have a,
segment. We basically
I know
just
my
state
hill.
our opinions. We state the hills that we planting our flags on, setting up some furniture, some Wi-Fi, some snacks, and I'm what kind of thing we have. So, Deidre, we could turn it back to you. What hill are you dying on this week?
Okay. This is, by the time you guys hear this episode, this topic will have probably long dissolved on the internet, or maybe not. And y'all probably have already deemed me a man hater on this show, and that's okay too. That's your opinion to have, and I don't really care.
Is it the man or the bear?
It's absolutely the fucking man or the bear. Team Bear, grizzle motherfucking grizzle. I don't want to hear shit else about it. Did you see the First of all, even before I just got to the point where I'm like, case closed. When that shit came up, I'm like, oh, I'm choosing the bear, hands down.
I'm screaming.
Hands down, because you know what?
In no fucking scenario on this earth were you gonna ask me, would you rather be in the woods with a man or a bear? And I was going to choose a man. It was never happening.
I would never choose a man. So we know the obvious, right? Because a man, like, I don't know this man. This man might torture me, or he could be kind. I don't know. What I do know is two things. Because the thing is there's a 50-50 chance that any one of them are gonna like kill me, right? But with the bear, that bear, it makes sense for that bear to kill me, right? With this man might just torture me just for the hell of it. I don't want to hear shit. I don't give a fuck what you think. If you were thinking about courting me and you change your mind because I'm team bear, grizzle bitch, I want nothing. Like, it's always gonna be the bear. But aside from the obvious that a lot of men are a literal danger to us, I've seen, even before this topic started trending, I've seen, because y'all know I stay on the animal side of things. I love animals. I've seen videos of bears like walking up on people and people being like, hey, get out of here. And the bear being like, okay, I'm walking. I've seen videos. I saw this one video, and this was a long time ago, even before this topic came up, of this family was like at a park eating and a bear came out of nowhere and the family was fucking terrified. They're sitting still stiff as a board, and the bear is eating their enchiladas.
I'm screaming.
These people live to tell the tale. You know why? Because the bear just looking for something to eat. Winnie the Pooh is based off of an actual animal. The fucking bear who's just looking for some honey. Yes, I'm choosing the bear. Yeah. Listen, I saw this one video of this lady who has this bear who comes to visit her every day. This bear brings her cubs to this lady's house to visit her.
Oh my God.
You know why? Because she saved that bear's life. And the bear was like, oh, you a funny looking bear, but bitch, you got my back, so come meet my cubs. You know, like, I'm choosing the bear every time. Yeah. It's just a non-negotiable. Yeah. Because you know what? If I'm out in the streets and I see a man that I don't know, my antenna will just go up, right? Even when I'm someplace where men are expected to be. So why the fuck would I be someplace where a man is not expected to? First of all, why am I in the forest by myself? I'm not dumb. But you know why I wouldn't go to the forest by myself? Because there's a good chance that a man might find me and torture me and kill me. That's why I would never go to the forest by myself, because there's a good chance that a fucking, let's be so fucking for real.
It's been such an interesting conversation online, because I've been seeing so many men get like butthurt about women's answers. And instead of sitting back and being like, yo, these women are being asked, would they prefer to be in a forest with a literal predator, a literal animal that's gigantic and weighs hundreds of pounds and could kill you, or a man? And without blinking, most of these women are like, bear.
Bear.
Yeah, without question. Without question. I was trying to avoid joining that discussion on TikTok. But what made me join was one day I was in bed and something came up about I think me and Dylan were like laying in a bed and something came up about it. So I decided this is a really good opportunity to talk to Dylan about these important things. I try to find good opportunities to teach him things regarding consent and things such as that. But I don't want to be like randomly coming out of the blue. So because he happened to hear the TikToks I was listening to, I brought it up with him and we talked about it. So I explained it to him and he was like, at first, he was like, why would you choose a bear? So I explained why. And he was like, oh, he was like, that makes sense. He said, but what if you're in the forest with Pop Pop? That's what he calls my dad. And I was like, of course I would choose Pop Pop. But if it's a man that I genuinely do not know, I'm never going to choose that man because I don't know what he would do to me. And I explained all those things and the fact that we feel unsafe. Once he got that understanding, he was not even like annoyed or offended at the fact that me or any woman would choose a bear. He was like, knowing that, it makes sense that y'all would choose a bear. That was his rationale.
My
And I'm
husband
like,
said
now
he
that
would choose a bear.
yeah. And I'm like, now that you know that, I took it a step further and I'm like, now that you're aware of that, make sure you do what you can to make sure that girls feel
Feel
comfortable with you.
safe.
Yeah.
You know, make
Yeah.
sure you do your part so girls understand that you wouldn't hurt them, you know, like just because this is something that's going on. And if by chance a girl doesn't feel safe with you, it doesn't mean that she thinks you're dangerous. It just means that she doesn't know if you're safe. So the best way
Yeah.
for her to know if you're safe is to not be upset or offended if she's on it. And he's like, okay, that makes sense. You know, and he moved on. He didn't give a
Yeah.
fuck.
I love that
Dylan is
you
there
used
too.
it as a teachable moment though, because we all know the
Yeah.
internet is making its way into younger and younger minds, and that type
Yeah.
of like incel conversation is like making its way to younger boys, and you hearing them repeat a lot of those like misogynistic
Yeah.
Yeah.
mindsets. But I think the best answer that I heard in all of that discourse was a woman basically say that she has been in the forest and has walked upon a bear, and when she left the bear alone, she stood still, she walked away, the bear and do she nothing. And she said, I've also been on the street and I've not made eye contact with a man, walked away, left him alone, and I get called a bitch and almost assaulted physically. So
And
she was like, let
followed,
that be
yeah.
the answer.
Yeah.
And that's
Oof.
really all there is to say about it, is
That's
these women are
literally
saying bear
it.
for a reason, and just because it might not apply to you, it don't mean it don't apply to your boys. That's the hill Deidre dying on. I going up there. I hope you have some extra snacks.
Because quite simply, if you don't pose a threat to the bear is going to leave. But guess what? The
Right.
less of a threat you pose to these men, the more likely you are to be harmed by them.
Boom.
So
Okay.
Period.
we'll bend on the story in.
We'll be story. Kayra, what is the hill you are dying on this week?
This week, I am dying on that you are always allowed to speak your truth. I think this kind of goes hand in hand with Deidre's Hill. I'll say that, you know, a lot of times people, men, anyone, they do things to you, and then the expectation is to remain silent and to not speak on what you went through, to mitigate the relationship, to keep peace and all these different things, when in fact you don't owe nobody nothing. And I feel like you're allowed to vocalize the things that you've gone through and the things that you've endured with other people, as it relates to work, as it relates to men, as it relates to your children, just any sort of like thing that is causing you trouble. I truly believe that one way to heal through like trauma and stuff is to like vocalize it and to speak on it. And you shouldn't allow anybody to silence you. I found that you know, as you guys know, recently did my baby mama's series for the BMs.
Hey.
And I was able to give a space to moms, some single moms, they were married moms, there were moms who were married and then became single moms, there were baby mamas at birth in the episodes, like myself. And, you know, one of the things that came up a lot was like, oh, like, thank you for giving me this space. I don't know how his dad is going to feel about it, but I'm happy that I got to talk about this anyway. Or, you know, I might not share it, but I do support this. I just don't want his dad to see. And then there's like people like me who had to hear it from the horse's mouth, just how upset folks were at my truth. And
There
so
should have
something
been
I've
better people done.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, you can't really be mad at how people speak on how you treat them. And at the end of the day, it's like, you obviously didn't even watch the episode because I didn't even go into as much detail as I could have. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really feel like at the end of the day, like people are allowed to talk on how they feel. And whether or not you agree or not, you don't have the power to silence somebody else. So even back to this bear conversation, like the men can be upset that women are choosing the bear, but this is their truth. Like this is an experience that a lot of women are feeling and experiencing and would rather put themselves in a space with a real life predator than like a fake predator, like one of those covert predators that we call men. you know, who are literal terrorists, and you don't know until it's too late. So
I don't even think they're covert at this point. Like, I think
Yeah,
they're
I
they're not even
mean,
trying to be
they're
anymore.
like the biggest
they
threat to our safety when you really think about it, because
correct.
we have more access to them than bears.
I
Yeah.
Like,
mean, that part. I say covert in the sense of like, you know, a lot of women find out too late.
absolutely,
You
absolutely.
know, like, because there's that guy who is just, he lets you know off rip that when you deny him that you're a bitch and you're this and you're that, you're like, okay, you're one of those. But then there's that guy that just, you know, is courting you and leading
Yeah,
you astray and all that stuff. And then, like, you know, it's like a bait and switch. And then you find out a little bit too late. And
yeah.
that shit's fucked up. So yeah, my hill that I'm dying on is say it with your chest, say what you gotta say, talk your truth, tell people where they had you fucked up at. Don't let
Yeah.
nobody have to wonder, and don't ever feel like you have to remain silent, because our truth, and as we've seen in this, like on like just in 2024 in general, with Cat Williams, with Amanda Seales, with Jeannie Mai and Jeezy, with Cassie and Diddy, like we are seeing that the truth is empowering other people to just like get their reparations. Like, you deserve to be
Yes.
compensated for your trauma.
Period.
Hello.
Number one. And number two, there's power and strength in numbers, and other people are feeling more liberated, and it just promotes healing to me to be able to speak on what you've experienced, and don't let nobody shut you up, because they ain't your mother or your father, and even then you grown and
I
you
was
get to
about
do
to
what you
say,
want.
And even if
even
they
they
are your
can't shut
mom,
you up.
Okay,
The
even
fuck?
if they are your mom and dad,
They
they do
cannot
not have
shut
that
you
power
up.
over you. Okay, so
yeah,
yeah,
I
that's my
mean,
hill.
you're on the show that literally came out the gate swinging, dragging the people who birthed them. Season 1, episode 1. Hey, Isaac Quinones featuring Diamond Ritter. Talking about mother. Okay.
Hello.
and listen, I speaking your truth is has changed my life. Okay, being able to talk my shit, and all of that to say, good people don't get slandered on podcasts.
And I was just about to say, I want to rephrase that, because they actually
not.
didn't drag their mothers by any means. Never once did they call our mothers out of their names.
Nope.
Never once was my mom and Jeaiza's mom called out of their names. Never once were they
weren't called bad moms either.
They weren't called bad moms. The
You
only
spoke on your
thing-
experience.
Yeah,
they
we
spoke on
spoke
their
on our
experiences. They were honest about their experiences, and it wasn't slander. Slander is not the truth. They spoke the
Right.
truth. They spoke about their experiences, and they still maintained a level of respect. So
Yep.
I love
yeah,
And
that.
that's
they
the
didn't
same
drag their
thing
mothers, but of
that
course, in the
happened.
eyes of you know.
Yeah, right. Because people take things personally. And that's what I just want to say about the moms who are on my series as well. Like, they didn't drag anybody. They just spoke on their experience throughout pregnancy, labor, and journeying through motherhood, myself included.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're
and
totally valid to do that.
I
I'm
firmly
glad you
believe
created that.
that when another person says that you hurt them, you don't get to tell them that that's not the truth.
It's true.
You don't get to tell them you hurt somebody, or that was that person's experience with you, and that's their truth. And even if you maybe don't agree with how everything happened, whatever, that's that person's truth. And if they're not bold-faced lying and like slandering you, then eat that fuck, like deal with it.
Yeah. And I was just about to add that intent and impact are two different things. And you may not have intended to hurt somebody, but you did.
Yeah.
Regardless of your intent, your impact is way different than your intent.
Exactly.
So that's not even the opportunity to be like, oh, well, that wasn't my intention. It don't matter that it wasn't your intention. It's what you did. What's that?
I hate the word intention sometimes.
I
For that
know.
same reason. That wasn't my
because
intention.
you may not have intended to hurt that person, but you did. And they're the ones who are hurt. So you don't get to decide that they're not hurt. And if by chance you can't keep track of your intentions and all that jazz, and maybe you and that person shouldn't be involved in any capacity.
At
so you
all.
accept the message, apologize. And if you can't bring yourself to apologize, then you definitely need to exit stage the fuck left before I fuck your ass up.
Period. What really did blow me about that though, like I didn't intend to do that, is like in the same breath, it's like if this had happened to you, you would not have been okay with it.
Hello.
So like, despite what you intended to do, you still know that your actions were harmful and like
Yeah.
wrong, because if the shoe were on the other foot, you would not have been okay. So like
Facts.
who gives a fuck what the intention was? Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, this couldn't have been reversed onto you. It would have been a problem. So
Hello.
I
Okay.
think people care so much more about their reputations than they care
Yes.
about the content of what's actually being said on these podcasts. People care more about
which
the
is
fact that
like
other people gonna see them differently when they find out how they were out here treating people. That's
Kayla,
what people
stop
are
being so
upset about.
psychic. Stop being so. I was legit about to say, do y'all think that people just care about what others think of them?
Yeah.
And then-
yes,
what it
100%. It's
Yeah,
about,
that's
oh,
what it
so and
is.
so told me they saw this and that, and now everybody think this, that, and the third. And it's
Yeah.
just like, well, then let them think this,
And
that,
they're
and the
not
third.
even listening from like, they're not even listening, which I think a lot of people don't go into certain situations seeking understanding, but they're not even now trying to follow
Mhm.
up to gain understanding.
Mhm.
They're
No.
following up based on how they feel about this thing that
Correct.
may impact their reputation. And it's like, girl, if
Correct.
you don't have the bandwidth to get clarity and get the full truth, baby, what the fuck make you think I have to have it for the 2 week?
Exactly.
Fuck you, your
But that
reputation,
just
and all that shit.
something that I always struggled with, like throughout just like college and stuff. I've always spoken on how people are so concerned with how things look versus how they are. And it's like, why are we so concerned about the image? Like we need to be focused on like what is actually happening. And it's like you're saying, like, you're missing the complete point of like why this person is vocalizing their pain in the first place. Like it's not for you to receive understanding and figure out where we can move forward from this. It's still all about image and surface level bullshit. And I don't know, I cannot get with that at all. I think a lot of like what I've been like growing through recently has just been a lot of not giving a fuck about what something looks like to other people and just being like 100% unapologetic and authentic with where I am in my journey and in my process, and not allowing the opinions of others to validate that for me. Because I don't actually care.
Yeah, and they're not gonna beat your ass. And they're not going to beat your ass. So
okay, they not beating my ass and they not paying no bills. So it's just kind of like
period.
Why do we care?
That's literally it. And that's such a freeing place to get to. Like it takes time and it's definitely easier said than done, because I am confident that all three of us have been in that space where we tried so hard not to hurt somebody's feelings, or we tried so hard not to I guess, you know, we tried so hard to protect that person's reputation or whatever, but then it's like, for what? For what? Like they didn't care about my feelings when they were hurting them. And even when I did try, because I think the first step is us learning how to confront those things, right? The first step is us learning to come up to this person and say, hey, this thing you did hurt my feelings. But then we do that, and that person who's so used to hurting our feelings without consequence is now flipping it on us. Like, oh, you're overreacting. That's not how I meant it. You can't
the
take
gaslighting.
Yeah. And then you're sitting there like, wait a minute, you know? So then you have to get to a point where it's like, baby, fuck you and everybody else in this fucking vicinity. Okay. Like you have to get to that point. And the thing about like learning how to set boundaries, and I'm talking about healthy boundaries, right? Not the boundaries that everybody on TikTok be talking about, because, you know, we love throwing around therapy talk, but you set those healthy boundaries. You express when you're hurt in the moment. The people who don't want to exist with you in that way, the people who only want the version of you who didn't have boundaries, they're going to eventually fall out. Like fall off they're not going to be able to come anymore. But guess what? People who do respect boundaries, they're going to make it on the boat, and it's going to be lit, and life is good, you know, like, so it's a sticky journey, but once you get your groove, it's lit. Like it's so
it really
lit.
is.
It's incredibly freeing. It really is.
It's very freeing. That's the best way to describe it.
So I
Kayza, what is your hill?
My hill is it's kind of conflicting with everything we were just talking about.
Not conflicting.
Okay.
You better be contrarian, girl.
The hill that I am dying on is I ain't reading all of that shit. I am not reading all of that shit. Don't send me no fucking paragraphs. Don't comment 60 times on a good up page sharing audio.
I don't think it's
TikTok has a comment limit for a reason. And if you need to post multiple comments to share, I'm not reading all of that shit. I'm not reading all of that shit.
I don't think it's conflicting at all. I think it's very much in line with what we just said. Because who tell you I have the capacity to read all that shit?
I'm not reading all of that shit.
Yeah, you could type it. I'm glad you got that off. That don't mean that I'm reading it.
Congratulations, or I'm sorry that happened. I'm not reading all of that shit. Like, I say this in terms of just people who react very quickly to our clips and don't listen to the full clip or take the time to go listen to the episode or don't take the time to ask questions if they don't understand something.
Right.
I say that to people on Twitter who, when I say like one thing, they'll just make it personal about themselves and start sending me threads. People who have gotten
Not
up
threats.
over things and like DM me personally. To as soon as I see more than like 3 sentences, I'm not reading that shit.
People
I
will be DMing you about the show.
not even just about the show. Like I've said things on the
God,
internet
I
that
was
people
about to say.
listen on Twitter.
DM me
I'd
so I
be
can block
riling.
your
Listen, between Twitter and Facebook, I'd rile the girls, especially on Facebook. I love riling the girls up on Facebook and then
I'm
logging out.
screaming.
Because people on the app don't read. So it's entertaining to me to like state an opinion that I know is logical, that I know I have the background on. Like I could go back and forth with you. I could. I'm not going to. So I can just post my thoughts and I'm gonna leave. But when I come back and I see 65 comments, I ain't reading all of that shit. I'm not reading that shit. I'm not reading that shit. Because I stopped reading things that I don't want to read when I left grad school. And then when I have to read something I don't want to read, I get paid to do it. So
hello,
I'm not listening. As soon as I come under the podcast videos and be like, oh, these girls, I ain't reading that shit. I'm not reading it. So yeah, if you sent me paragraphs in the last couple of months, just know I didn't see none of it. I wish you well on your journey. And once again, I ain't reading that shit.
I think a beautiful part of it, though, is that you have incited an emotional response from viewers. And that just goes to show how impactful the content actually is. Like, for someone to sit and write out their thoughts and feelings in such a cohesive way, multiple people, multiple times, like, we are doing the Lord's work. You know?
We're doing what we came here to do. And you know what's funny? It's actually a really good thing. Like, I think at this point, if you've been a long time listener, you know, of the two of us, Jeaiza does a way better job at like social media and all that jazz. I'm not present on there. I pop in when I feel like it. I don't even have my notifications turned on, right? So, and then when, you know, I always know when Jeaiza has posted a reel because I see like all these, oh, you've been, you know, somebody responded to something.
I always tag you, so
whatever the notification is, I see those and I try to catch up. So I'll have like a moment where I'll go respond to as many as I can, and that's it. I'm not coming back, right? Most of the time it's positive engagement. In the off chance that it's like negative comments. For one, like, hey, I don't read like long comments and stuff, but if you catch me on a day where I actually have the time and I see some bullshit, I don't have to literally stop myself from saying what I want to say because I have to remember, oh, Deidre, you're a representation of the podcast. So like recently, some dude said something on one of our comments. I don't even remember.
To go back where we come from.
He said something, but what I know, hey, I right before I hit send, hilarious. I had to be like, "Oh, Deidre, you can't do this." I literally typed, "Girl, fuck you."
Because Deidre typed all laughing emojis, and I was
no legit
screaming.
So what happened is I was literally picking Dylan up from the bus. Right, I'm waiting for the bus, the school bus to drop my kid off. I happened to be like I think I was in Instagram at the moment, so the notification came in while I was scrolling Instagram. That's why I was able to respond to him, because again, I don't have notifications turned on. So unless I'm in the app, I'm not going to see it. So I'm in the app. I see this brand new notification. I go on it. So I was able to read his comment. And I literally typed, "Girl, fuck you." And right when I was about to press send, I was like, "Oh shit, Deidre, no, this is the podcast page. Like, you're not corresponding with somebody on the shade room." I had to delete that fuck, and I just put a heap of laughing emojis because, girl, fuck you. I hope you're listening, but you're probably not based on that comment you wrote. So fuck you.
He's not. And I'm not even going to dive into like what he was talking about. It was a response to our previous episode on the impact of colonialism, and it was a very ignorant comment. And you know, if you follow us on social media, you probably saw it. But Deidre responding with laughing emojis is the kind of energy that I have on the hill that I'm dying on. You could send me an essay. I either gonna respond with laughing emojis or I'm not reading it. Like
my favorite thing to do to those long, like, and this is in text, this is everything. Or just right? Like this is not just, well, not even like it. So this is with strangers on the internet or people in my personal life, especially if we're having like a disagreement of some kind and it's a dumb disagreement, right? Like if it's something that's important, I might like leave it and then come back, right? But if it's something that to me just don't matter, I'm not even gonna read your message. I'm just gonna reply LOL. Like, and I've
I
done
have
that,
to
and
get
I've
on
had,
you guys' level. I
yeah,
am a former paragraph sender,
I've
like
never been a
No,
paragraph
and
sender.
don't get me wrong. I have done it.
yeah,
I'm one of the girlies too. Like I need to
Really? I've
vent.
never
I
been
need to get
there.
my thoughts out there sometimes. Like I
yeah,
understand. So
like
this
breaking it up.
yeah, so to me this isn't extensive. Like it's not so much about like those interpersonal relationships, like you in an argument with your partner or your sister or whoever. Like if my mom has sent me, lengthy text messages before, I gotta read it eventually. I ain't reading off fuck right now, just depending on what I get.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
valid.
But
I'm
this
not
is
a lengthy
mostly about
texter.
like social media, people that I don't have established relationships with, feeling like, yeah, I gonna write you an essay or I gonna send you an email
Yeah.
and tell you how disgruntled I am. Like, girl, I'm
Yeah.
not reading, even at work. If I don't have a legal obligation to respond to you and you
That's
send
a
me
good
some
one.
long dummy ass email being rude to, I ain't reading that shit. You call my
I like
boss.
Right.
that.
Call my boss. And there's a lady
I
who was
actually
like,
really
you
like
did
that.
not respond to my email. I'm reporting you to your boss. And I tell my CEO, from the time I get a lady email, I was like, I hope you know I'm not responding to that shit.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah, no, that's
responding to that
valid.
shit.
That's
I'm not
valid.
reading.
Boundaries,
Yeah.
healthy boundaries. We
And
love to see
Hello.
it.
exactly. And we're gonna get into the episode, but the big motivator behind that is a lot of people, again, don't listen to understand. They don't take in information to really process it. They listen to react. They
Yes.
listen to respond. Reading comprehension and media literacy is at an all-time low. A lot of you are sharing shit and reacting to shit on the internet that ain't even from legitimate news sources. You just reacting to big bold font, and Megan Thee Stallion already tell you not to react to that fuck because it's not real. So
It's
why
true.
would
Clickbait.
y'all don't process things. So if you're arguing with me and I know for a fact that you just skip past 30 seconds of a minute long reel, I don't have nothing I'm not reading that shit. So
Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
I'll wrap up there and say I'm laughing because my cat trying to break into the room. I could hear it
Oh,
behind
let
me.
the baby in.
Girl, no.
Sorry. You such a hater, but I coming for my Sharon because this is crazy.
They gonna
I
come in
can't
here and
believe you
wreak
don't treat
havoc.
them like this, hey Isa.
Not when they recording a podcast, man. Fuck them cats. Anyway,
That's
screaming.
crazy to me.
yeah, them cats disrespectful about when they trying to do Zoom
So
calls
give
and
mommy
shit.
a minute.
Kayra, honestly, like, please don't pay me no mind. Like, yeah, I don't just get so irrationally like defensive of those
Listen,
cats. Like,
them cats could walk in this house and shoot me, and DJ gonna be like, "What did you do?"
what? How they don't
What
even
did
have
you do
thumbs?
to
How would
them?
they? How could they have possibly shot you? They don't have
Like,
thumbs.
you see,
They could be
exactly.
sitting there with the gun in their hand, and I'm like, they don't even have thumbs.
Yep.
That's not possible.
Ru could learn to talk and be like, I did it. And DJ gonna be like,
Yeah.
I never hear a
Ru
cat
could be
talk
like,
in my life. What do you mean?
Ru could be like, Auntie, it was definitely me. And I'm gonna be like, she put that in your head, Ru.
Mhm.
Like, come. You want some treats?
What did
You want some
What did
catnip?
Jeaiza do? Yeah.
What did she do
Yeah.
to you? She first of all, she put that in your head. But even if you did shoot her, what she do you? What she do you?
Exactly.
Because I know she don't like you.
Exactly.
One thing about me, I gonna defend them cats.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's 5+ years of friendship to Deidre when it comes to these cats? Who gives a fuck? These cats.
Let me tell you, if
They
you ain't
over
got
me
toe
every time.
beans and a cute little nose,
Yep.
What's
Anyway.
loyalty when the cat's involved?
What's
I am a
loyalty?
cat lady.
Listen.
And it's funny because a lot of people don't know that about me. And because
Deidre's a
I
cat
haven't had
lady.
a chance to have like pet cats in my adult life, people legit just don't know I am a fucking cat lady. If you go on
Deidre's
my
a cat
explore
lady.
page,
Y'all think
Instagram, it's
that
just
I am a cat lady and y'all keep sending me cat content and cat video. Oh my God,
Send it to
Jeaiza has
me.
cats. Let's send her all the things. Send that fuck to Deidre because I personally
to
don't give
me.
a fuck about cats on the internet. I have
If
two in
y'all
home.
want a response if you have ever DM'd me, and first of all, if you've ever DM'd me and haven't gotten a response, it's probably because you're in my my
A
request
stranger
folder.
danger folder.
Yeah, I definitely have the stranger danger folder. But if you, baby, tag
Yeah,
me
send
in
that-
cat
send that
videos,
cat.
and you gonna get so much so much engagement. That's on me. I am obsessed with cats. I love them. I
Stop sending them
love
fuck to
cats.
me. Send cats to Deidre.
I want
I
to
love
have
that.
cats so bad. I love cats. I'm obsessed.
Listen, all that to say.
I love cats.
Breaking happening
Yeah.
behind me.
Just make sure you make sure I have some treats after this show because I can't believe you just neglected them
The
like
thing is, when I'm not on this show or when I ain't busy, them cats will be all up on me. We cuddling, we reading, we chilling. They have my attention damn near 24/7.
And that's why they don't
except for
understand
this
why they
1
ain't getting
hour
it
a
now.
day. Exactly. That's why they
Let
losing
me
their
stop,
mind.
because meanwhile, the one that I literally created with my body is in the next room.
Same.
That
Same.
is what you said.
My kitten is in the next room.
I'm screaming.
So this week's episode, which I love that we've kind of been like touching on different elements of it throughout every topic that we've talked about so far. But for background, Kayra talked about the series that she had been, posting and working on, which is an amazing series, which you all should definitely check out, by the way. I'm going to make sure I link it in the episode description. But what really grabbed my attention was Kayra telling her own story. That was actually the first clip from the full series that I saw, and then I went back and watched the other ones that were up. And it said so much to me about like self-discovery and what you're experiencing now and how you are being introduced to this like very new version of yourself that is not someone that you planned to be, right? And it essentially made me think about like just this concept of self-discovery and how a lot of people aren't open to self-discovery because so many people are under this very false assumption that you work hard in your 20s, you set your goals, and at some point before you turn 30, you're going to hit all of your goals and you're going to be this person that you set out to be. And that's the only version of yourself that you are going to be for the rest of your life. So I think people resist self-discovery because one, that means accepting that you are going to be many different versions of this person throughout the time that you are in this vessel that you're in, right? But also people just don't want to let go of their like original plans and their original dreams. We're very averse to change. So I wanted to talk about that as a group, about this idea of like, what does it look like when all of your plans go to shit? And you're trying to figure out like what's next for me. So Kayra, if you want to start, yeah, I actually would love if you like shared a piece of your story with the listeners on like what brought you to the point of creating this series on like why and what you're realizing about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching. Let's start there. Like, I so appreciate the love. But yeah, when I was 25, I had just gotten promoted to like my dream like job position, and it's like I'm in my first like 6-figure role. I'm living in my dope ass apartment, driving my little BMW, just being fucking cute. Like I was just like living life. And so what you're saying in terms of like, oh, your 20s are about getting to this self-actualization point, and then you become 30 and you're just like, I don't know what you do at 30, but I felt like I had did what I was supposed to do in my 20s at this point in time. And so I was starting to pivot into like dating. And I don't really have the best experiences with dating overall. Like I'm either like not interested at all. Like I'm very much like a ghost. Like I'd be like, okay, like I'm done. And I'll just like leave a situation. Like I'm like, okay, that was really cute, but like I'm gonna go. Like I don't actually want to talk to you. Like things start to get real and they have like feelings, and I'm like, I actually don't care. So I am like that, or I'm like, I love you so much, I just want to be with you forever. Like, and then that person is like, fuck you, bitch. So there's no in between. I had taken just a chill pill on the dating scene as a whole because of that. And because I had gotten to this like specific point now, I was like, okay, like I'm ready to reopen myself up to like love and romance and partnership and whatever. And I was like dating, I was doing a really good job at like, waiting a while, going on a few dates, having a roster, like not just talking to one person and like, that's my man, like, you know what I mean? Like really just like allowing myself to date and not get intimate too soon and anything like that. Then I met, my kid's dad. And all I want to say is don't be drinking Japanese whiskey if you don't plan on breeding, because that fuck will get you pregnant. Okay. That Nobushi will go straight to your coochie and you have to wrap it up. Okay. It is dangerous. It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
Gosh.
Okay. You could set all these goals. I'm not going to fuck him. You took a shot at Nobushi. You're like, so Anyway,
See,
yeah,
I say this with
yeah.
full confidence. I've been such a hoe my whole life that the minute my brain go, we're not gonna have sex with them, I'll be like, shut the fuck up here. So you know you
I
gonna do.
mean, I really thought, because I was like very much saying that and not doing it. But like this time, like again, all I have to say is Japanese whiskey. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna blame it on that girl, because that shit had me like making really irrational choices, and I get pregnant.
My toxic
And
trait is now I want to try Japanese whiskey. But, you know,
just be safe.
no,
Just
I'm
be
not. Well,
safe.
I've been abstinent for a while, so I think I'll try
Love that.
Oh, you know what? I'll get some and then me and my siblings will like have a cookout and try it. Because I'm like, Japanese whiskey sounds lit.
Yeah,
Like
do it
that
in a
sounds
safe
It's
place. Safe
yeah, I'm gonna do it in a
place.
yeah,
safe space, but
yeah,
not with
yeah.
no date. I don't even drink with dates at this point because I don't
Child,
it's
drink
team bear over
water.
here. Okay.
Because woof, it's serious. It's a really great drink. I actually stepped into my whiskey journey that year because I've always been like a tequila girl, and I never really like explored other spirits, but like I do like whiskey. Like it's grown on me.
Yeah.
But I learned that shit packs a fucking punch.
Mm.
And I get pregnant. And in this experience of living in Atlanta, where Roe v. Wade had been reversed just like a mere 6 months prior to this, or however long it was within the same year that this legislation had been reversed. And I found out that I was pregnant at 5 weeks, and there's like a 6 week ban in Georgia. So I had like this 1 week. The stakes were so high. Like, what are you doing? What are you gonna do? You're gonna keep it? What are you gonna? Whatever. Obviously, I kept the baby. Loved the baby. Um, and the experience really just like showed me just like all this unresolved trauma that I had from like my parents' divorce that I didn't really know was there.
Mm.
My parents got divorced when I was 10. And while I was born on St. Croix, we had like moved to Connecticut, and then we moved to Maryland. And I lived in Maryland throughout my adolescence. And so then it was like they got divorced, and me, my mom, and my sister moved back to St. Croix. And it was a complete lifestyle change. Like, it was completely different from growing up in Maryland, living in the States, living in a 2 parent household with 2 cars and a dog and my own room. And
Mhm.
now like we're here, and I have mosquito, and I don't have the same accent, and I don't have my friends, and I'm sharing a room with my sister. And nobody's actually asking the 10-year-old, like, how do you feel about this? Like, are you okay? Like, how's everything? You're just kind of like, you just start to go to school, and you just start doing the thing, and and you don't really reflect. Even as a kid, like, what is reflecting? Like, you're just trying to fit in, make new friends, whatever, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. So I guess I just sort of like went through the rest of my life, not really paying attention to how this may have affected me until this moment right here, where I was like, wait, I was supposed to be different. I was supposed to break this generational curse. I was supposed to get married. I was supposed to like be a wife before I was a mom. Like, and it was just like a lot of internalized shame and like guilt that I was like carrying throughout the whole experience, on top of the fact that like my kid's dad didn't want to be in a relationship with me. I mean, we started this experience with him being so like, I'm falling for you, and then switched up mid-pregnancy. And then it was just like all these truths were coming to the surface about what was actually going on. Very painful and hurtful things that I didn't know about. And I was trying to navigate that emotional experience on top of the physical pain of like labor, delivery, breastfeeding, and then just like the mental trauma of like trying to cope with the fact that like my whole life is now completely different because I wanted to drink Japanese whiskey and sit on top of a man. Like, what the fuck? So now I'm like in this new space of maternity leave, and like money is funny because my company had given me 12 weeks off, but not all of the weeks were paid. So you start to get into this financial conundrum of like taking out personal loans to cover things, and seeing like bills be late. And I've never been late on a bill in my life. Like, so now you're in this new space, and there's also the baby. Like, there's like a baby here that you're providing for and taking care of. And then my apartment, I had no intentions of leaving Atlanta when I gave birth. So I had like renewed my lease and everything, but my apartment would be leaking profusely. Like, whenever my third floor neighbor would like do their laundry, the water would leak down into my apartment and literally be like raining in my apartment. And I would be reporting it, and they would not come and fix it. So then that led to mold in the apartment. And I'm like, I have a 2-month-old, like, you need to come and fix this. Maintenance still wasn't reporting or wasn't fixing it. And so I had to get the fuck out. Like, I had to like break the lease, pack up all my shit, throw away everything that I ever thought mattered to me. Like, I had just spent the last 2 years like furnishing this apartment with my own bread. Like, you know, my vision is my first solo spot, my first 6-figure deal, my first everything. And everything is going away. Like, nothing that I worked for is staying, you know, not the house, not the car, not the items, not the relationship. Like, nothing's happening. You know what I mean? Everything's just like falling apart. So that was my like September of 2023. And it was like the worst fucking month of my life. I genuinely hated fucking life in every way. Cause then I also had made this decision to move to St. Croix once I decided to break the lease. And my job, which was pretty remote this whole time, was like, oh, well, once you got off of maternity leave, we really wanted you to like be more in person and like come into the office and do more talent meetings and things of that nature. So now I have to quit the job because I can't do that from St. Croix. So I have now lost the job that I worked the last, like, since college for, the apartment that I worked for, the car that I worked for, everything's gone. And it's just me and this baby. And in that place of ground zero, and the money, because the money is just gone. Okay, we paying to move, we're paying for all these bills, we're trying to stay afloat, and I'm just like at zero. Like, I'm at nothing. I'm at Kayra and Koa. That's it. That's what we're going with. And I had to figure out a way to A, not lose my shit, but B, like, understand that my worth and my value is beyond a car. It's beyond a house. It's beyond a job title. It's beyond a relationship status. It's beyond my bank account. Like, what is it when it's just you, the baby, and God? Like, that's all you got. So how do you feel? Who are you? Where are you? How do you think? How do you move? And so when I came here, I moved on to St. Croix on October 3rd. And that's where this new self-discovery journey began, in terms of like, who am I again? And I've always been pretty like self-reflective as I've gone through my journey before this. It just was never as serious. Like, it's always been like, oh, okay, like, I want to cut my hair off. Like, oh, I'm blonde now. Like, okay, I like whiskey now. Like, those were the things. Now it's like, oh my God, my actual self-worth is up to me. Like, I have to decide how I feel about myself when I have lost all of the things that once mattered to me. And it took a lot of work. I journaled a lot. I cried so much. I was in therapy. I would just like go to the rainforest and talk to the goddamn trees. And I would be like, God, what is this situation that you put me in? Like, I don't really think I did anything this bad. Like, what is this karma? Like, what are we going through? Like, okay, I know I ghosted a few people. Is this like the repercussions of that? Like, I don't think I deserve that. Like, you know,
Sometimes
like,
your God, like, and if you're religious, boo fucking who, this how I talk, right? Sometimes you don't really gotta be like, God, what the fuck is your...
Oh no, I've literally said, God, like, what the fuck?
Where
like,
up,
I've
bro?
literally said it.
Multiple
I've
times.
literally in my life said, God, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Sometimes
Like,
you have to say that. But
Have
you know,
because
Kayra,
if you have never in your silent house literally yelled, what the fuck is going on, and expected somebody to answer even when nobody was there, you have not truly lost your shit.
And,
Like,
and let me tell you,
Okay.
it's not even so much losing your shit, right? But because I don't identify as Christian, I believe in God, but not the Christian God. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
God wants that. God wants your most authentic you. God wants whatever version of you is actually asking what the fuck. He don't care how you saying it. He care that you asking, right?
Yeah, and that you're
That's
seeking
what
God.
matters.
sometimes
that's
I
what
cannot
matters.
come to you humbly. Sometimes I cannot come and say, Lord, you know, I know that you are all knowing and all powerful and you have a reason for everything. No, because truly what I feel in that moment is respect your power. Earth is great.
Yeah.
Good job on that. What the fuck is
Thank
this
you.
though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah. And I even want to refer it, I don't even believe God is a he, right? I tend to call God they. If God does have a gender, it's
I
she.
did to the point
Let's
where
just
I don't
be
be
so
like,
for real.
God, and say, whoever the fuck in here right now,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Legit.
What
And
is happening?
yeah,
You really be
so
having to ask, and like you're saying, it's really about just that seeking, like
yeah.
God, whatever God we want to, the higher power, the universe, whomever, whatever. What's happening is you're being called to surrender to
Mm,
something,
yep.
and you learn this thing that you're just not in control. And it happens to everyone with different things. Look, for me, it was becoming a mom. With other people, it's losing a parent. With someone else, it's,
Yeah.
some other tragic, traumatic, fucked up thing,
Yeah.
that will literally bring you into the forest and be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what steps should I be taking? Like, what do I need to do? And I mean, a lot of it that I learned was like, even throughout my pregnancy and stuff, like my intuition would be talking to me, but I would
Mm-hmm.
be ignoring it because I really wanted a certain outcome. Like, I would be like,
Mm.
I'm feeling what I'm feeling, but I'm just not going to feel that way
I hear
because,
the recommendation. I
right.
would like to put it over here.
But here's my idea.
We're gonna
Let's just try
revisit
it.
that.
I'll keep that in mind. Let's table that for now. We'll circle back.
We'll circle
Yes,
back.
corporate talk. Yes, corporate
Yes.
talk.
Yeah.
That was me and God was like, "Oh, we circling back." Okay.
I got your circle, babe. I got you. I
Because
got your circle.
sometimes
Let
the
me close that
universe
circle.
will be
Right.
like, the universe will be like, hey, Isa is right here. You'll be like, who is that? Hey, Isa, it's right here. You'd just be like, I wish I knew where it was.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Playing crazy.
So let
And
me,
God is just like, why is she not listening?
yeah. So let me ask y'all this. When you realized that sometimes the best thing you could do is fucking nothing. Sometimes, what was that like when it clicked? Like, there is nothing to do in this moment. Sit still, like sit on, don't do it. Like, what made that click at some point in your life? Like, oh, there is no answer. At least not right now.
For me, it was moving to St. Croix because it was
Yeah.
just like, well, what are you going to do? Like, it's Monday morning and you don't have a job. So,
Mhm.
like you need to just figure out something else. Like, you need to go look for a job. Like, you need to go and, do something else. You know what I mean? Like, and there's nothing that you can really do about this particular situation. You're here. The MacBook is here. Like, everything is here. There is no apartment to go back to. There's no keys. Like, you're here now. So
Yeah.
I think like it's like circumstantially, like you'll be in a space where it's just like, wow, I literally can't go no place. Like, it's like
Yeah.
this is what's good. Like, oh my God, I don't have a car outside. I have to ask my mother to use her car. And then eventually, like, I think once you're in that space, right, and you do start to follow the nudges, you're like, okay, God, I listen and know because now I don't have a choice. Like,
Mhm.
now there is no options. Now there is no like world in which I'm doing my own thing. And I started bartending. I just started to do other things.
Mhm.
I was like, I'm not even ready to produce television again at the time of me coming here because I had a lot to like work through. And so I really enjoyed having like a job that kept me on my feet and like busy versus like sitting at a computer and using corporate talk. Like, I got to just like meet so many different people through bartending and learn so many different stories. And I started working at the jewelry store at IB Designs, and that was a whole other type of experience of like learning about jewelry and 14 karat gold and how to sell and blah, 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 all these other like life experiences. And then at some point in both of that, something like God just came into my ear and was like, all right, well, it's time to quit those jobs. And I was like, God, what are you talking about now? Like, what are you saying to me? And it was just like, yeah, you're not a bartender, and you actually are an entrepreneur. So it's time to focus on your business. Like, it's time to pivot. And so I was like, okay, God, heard you. I'm going to pivot. And I like started ordering stickers, and I started working on my website, and I invested in a brand shoot and like all these different things. There's bills, but I pay a photographer. Okay. So I'm putting my energy and efforts into the message that I received. And then lo and behold, the gigs start coming. You know what I mean? Like, I just produced this VI lottery commercial. I literally just covered the first ever VI Canna Culture
Shout out to the
event.
Virgin Islands Lottery.
Okay, period. Yeah. And so all these different opportunities started to gravitate to my life. And the efforts that I was investing into my business, I started to see the fruits of my labor.
Yes.
And it took me back to even before I had moved into this solo apartment and was getting this, I had this job, like that was in my vision board. Like I want to be an entrepreneur. And like something you were saying earlier, you know, like I'm not aspiring to be no president and CEO of nobody else shit. I just want to make money because I want to fund my own thing. Like I 100% have always had it on my heart that I was going to be an entrepreneur. Never in my life did I want to be a SVP, EVP of nobody's nothing. I've always wanted to be a owner and CEO of my own company, and that is exactly what's happening. It doesn't maybe look how I want it to look yet, but in order to get there, we had to get started.
Yes.
And I would have never made that move if I was living in my cozy ass apartment, laid up with some man, like being happy, being in love. Like if that was my story, I wouldn't have done what my soul wanted to do. So I just started to receive the things that had happened as blessings, like every single thing. The mold, the job loss, the lack of a relationship, the very hard and challenging postpartum period. Like all of that was to strengthen me. I feel like it feels like, you know, sharpening a knife, or like having worked in the jewelry shop, you see how jewelry is made and how they torch the jewels and everything. And it's like, that is really high heat and the metal is not burning up. Like it's just getting better, you know? So it's like being in the furnace, you know, being in that lion's den, being in that like real fucked up ass situation, and then coming out like more polished and more beautiful and just more of who you were destined to be, was something that I started to recognize at the end or in the middle of all of this. And that gave me the push to just keep on fucking going. Like, okay, bill collectors calling, but my girl, that's just what it takes, like to run this business. And, you know, just not giving up. I have a son now. So it's like, even with that, I feel like prior to having a kid, I was always very driven. I was always very like motivated. But I was getting complacent. Like I was starting to get like, things come easy for me. Like, you know, I've gotten this far. Like I'm going to go further. It was just kind of like a given, I guess, in my head. I didn't really feel, not that I didn't feel like the need to work hard, but like just not as hard. You know, I had gotten to a place where it's like, I know what I'm doing. But now it's like, oh, we got to go OD hard. Like it's a little baby over here. Like he eats a lot. Like he's growing. Like we have things that we need to do. I want him to see me in a certain light. I want him to be like, that's my mommy, like, and be super proud of her. And like, I just have dreams and aspirations now that I did not have before. And it has instilled this whole new like push, like this whole new like motivation that was not there. And I couldn't be more grateful. So it's like, like everything was super fucked up and like very, very trying on my mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Physically, I looked good as fuck the whole time. So we have to thank God for that.
No, literally, because the whole time you've been sitting here telling this story, I'm like, fuck, I would have never known because I would have never guessed you've been going through all this shit. Because baby,
for one
you were
second
showing
like what you were going through. Them
Baby.
maternity pictures were fire.
Like every time. And I'm talking, first of all, even when you announced the pregnancy, I'm like, oh yes, keep it private, babe. Like you better come on. I would have never known that this is the shit you was going through. I'm like, you know what, Kayra, you better have that baby and protect him from us.
I don't know who that man is, but watch your back,
I would have never guessed you was in these streets with a nigga who don't deserve access to you. But what's new with these motherfuckers, right? Like I'm thinking, you know what? Don't show us your man, because and when you a bad bitch like Kayra, when you a baddie, you gotta keep your mind a little private, because all of a sudden the tree monsters who thought that person was a tree monster all of a sudden find him attractive. You know, so I tell you, just keeping your people them secret, like private. I'll then this man playing in your face, but you didn't look like it though. I mean,
thank you. We did have to keep it a little private because then I honestly, he's attractive in general. Like I don't need to make him attractive. He's a beautiful, beautiful man. Shout out to him. Gave me a real beautiful baby. It's lovely.
That's all they really for your genes. Now get the fuck.
Thank you so much. And I mean, he is like a good dad. He does take care of his kid. My baby with him right now. So it's like those things, those caveats that you just gotta be grateful for and just understand that that man is not my man. He was actually never my man. And so we just gonna have to, that's just what it is. And that's just what it's gonna be. And just learning to say thank you for the lessons. Like, you really hurt my fucking feelings. And like, Do I really agree with how you move? Not at all. However, I learned a lot. I've grown, I've evolved. I have a beautiful son now. He has an active dad. We just gonna have to move on from this situation and go from there. And so that's what it turned into. And once we had gotten over that hump, like once I had like fully like released him, which I would say kind of I just let myself like grieve it for all of 2023. I was like, we're not gonna bring this into 2024. So I just like let myself be heartbroken for the rest of 2023. I let myself be triggered by the things. I'll keep it at that. But with that being the case, it was just very much like a lot to navigate.
We jumped
and to work through.
Dawn. Absolutely. Yeah.
No.
Can I ask you something, Kayra? Because when you were first telling your story and you mentioned like finding out you were pregnant, making the choice that you made, the decision you made, you mentioned something about feeling like you felt like you were doing things wrong because you were supposed to have broken generational curses and do it right. But I want to ask you two things. One, do you think, especially now looking back, one, you may have already broken generational curses that you thought existed, but two, based on what you were saying, it sounds like your mom did do everything right, because her marriage, she got married, she had her children, she had those children in a two-parent home, her and her husband had to get divorced, right? So she did do everything right, and she became a single mother. Do you think maybe like it's like, oh wait, what right is not real? Because
that is 100% it. And like that's exactly, so I, for those who are familiar with my work, have the web series Adultin, and the tagline for that show was there's no right way to adult. And that would come up for me a lot, like remembering that, because I think that there's this like right way that society tells you about child rearing and marriage and family and all of that. And like, you literally have to shake yourself off from that and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is just not my story. Like that is a Lifetime movie. This is Love and Hip Hop. That doesn't mean that one show better than the next. Like Love and Hip Hop has a lot of viewers. So it's like,
you know what it comes down to, there's a pot for every lid, right? Everybody, the right way is your destiny. Your destiny gonna look different than Jeaiza's. It's gonna look different than mine. It's gonna look different than your mama's. Correct. Like,
and it was a journey to get there. It was a journey to get there because, quite frankly, too, like you go on the internet and you see people unprovokingly being like, I could never be a baby mama. Or like all these bitter baby mama, like you just see baby. I had to mute BM and BD on Twitter when I was pregnant because I would get really triggered by a lot of the stuff that I would just go on this little blue app or now this black X app unprovoked. And you would just see stuff like just retweets, like you would see TikToks about just people sharing their stories or whatever. And I would just be I would feel bad. Like, and again, like I'm very type A, like I'm like honor roll, dean's list, cum laude type of bitch. Like, again, it felt like I'm not supposed to be doing anything like this. And then it's just like, what are you doing? Like, like you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything bad either. Like this is not a bad thing. And so that's what kind of led me to the nonprofit aspect of it all, of just like embracing the word baby mama, because it was like, whether you like it or not, people are calling you that, so you can yell at the world like, don't call me a baby mama, and they're gonna call you a baby mama anyway. And so I had to sit with myself and be like, well, what's the problem with that? I am this baby's mama.
I was about to say,
so good.
There's a baby and it's mama.
And
what else are you?
So it's just like, so honestly, that's just kind of what's happening. We're just gonna embrace that. And everybody's story is so nuanced, because there are people who are married and are still having their own version of struggles. There's people who, like everybody has their own things, and there is no right way, and nobody should really feel, I'm not saying nobody, some people really don't be making good choices, but sometimes, like for the most part, you find yourselves in these sticky situations, and it's just up to you to figure out like how you're going to navigate your way through them and out of them, and go from there. And I feel like once you get to that place, it kind of makes other parts of growing like simpler, and you start to just accept certain things about yourself. Like a lot of who I am and who I didn't want to be was highlighted within this experience. Like I said, I am a former paragraph sender. I do not want to do that anymore. I am not bringing that into my next phase. We have left that in the past. I'm so happy that I was in a situation that taught me that I don't want to be that girl before I meet my husband. that's it, you know?
Hey.
Like, I'm so happy that I saw my own flaws and my own things that like I'm just like not cool with, you feel me? Like, again, like ignoring my intuition. We're never doing that again. If I feel like something is off or something is wrong, like I don't need to go through the phone to figure it out. I can just listen to myself and make
Yes.
adjustments. Like I don't need proof or validation of what I'm feeling anymore. Which was something that I was doing. So it's just like so happy that we've endured all of this shit so that now when I do embrace like romance and partnership again, I'm coming at it from a very mature place, and just like an evolved standpoint and just coming from experience and shit. And now I'm a little bit more, I'm way more protective of myself and my space, because you know, we could be mad at him all he wants, but I let that man in my life. I let him in my house. I let him in my body. And I should have been more protective of myself at that time, because while he didn't deserve that, like deserve to know me in that way so quickly, like that is something that I let happen. And that's because I wasn't protecting myself. And so going forward, as I navigate, like I just have like this like fortress up, because it's like, it really is a process of getting to know people and learning who they are. And if I even want that type of person near my things, because my things are valuable. Like it really hurt to lose my bed that I spent so much money on. Like it really hurt to get rid of my iridescent teapot that I sourced on Amazon for hours. Like it really hurt to lose my bookshelf that I spent hours looking for, and my couch that I spent hours to like waiting months to be delivered. It really fucking hurt to lose everything. And so in this next phase, as I rebuild my life from scratch, I just now know that like everything costs way more. Like the price really went up. And so no, you cannot come to my house after like a couple of dates. Like, no, I'm not going to just like listen to what you're saying. I have to see the actions. Like, you know, like all these different things that like I started to learn about myself as an individual, and then also within a partnership started to come about. And I'm grateful for the experience, because again, we was looking the fuck good the whole time, and it's only gonna get better.
And you have a good looking ass baby. Let's go with that.
When I tell you that, baby, y'all, I don't, for those of you
That's
who are
such a cute ass
listening,
baby.
who don't already follow Kayra on social media, we were talking off air. Her baby looks like a cherub. Like she posted a picture of them together maybe like a month or two ago. Whenever there was a time you updated your profile picture and it was you and he was sitting in your lap looking right at the camera, and the child is a cherub. I was like, who like what? He is so perfect. Like he's the cutest little pie. Like that man come into your life to give you that child. Let's just call a thing a thing.
Like, thank you, God. Like, I'm so grateful. Like, appreciate you, bro. Like, you know, and I learned a lot about myself, and now I have like this really dope kid. I mean, and one of the things that I'm learning too as a mom, because like while my baby is so beautiful, one of the things that I've been standing on is like empowering him beyond his beauty, because I've learned a lot about men who are beautiful, who've really only been validated for their beauty. And so I've just tried to be super intentional about being like, you are so smart, Koa. Like you're so unique. You're so filled with joy. Like I'm learning even from now, before he could even talk, to like pour into him in ways that go beyond his physicality, because he's going to get that for the rest of his life. Wherever he goes, it's like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. And he is. So being
so
like,
to add more to it.
And like letting him know that he is beyond what he has to offer, beyond his looks.
In hearing you talk about your experience and everything you've learned and everything you realize, honestly, I think a lot of people would have probably come out of this resentful and bitter and angry at the wall, and use this as a reason to be like, yeah, fuck the universe and fuck everything else. You see what happened to me, and for you to be like, okay. And that's why I asked that question about being still, because sometimes if you don't take the time to be still, you don't even realize like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to start over, for me to start from scratch, for me to try again. Like a lot of people will be like, well, all of this shit happened to me. This is my story. This is my narrative. This is why I'm going away, and I'm gonna walk around with a chip on my shoulder because of it. And something else that I wanted to add is as somebody who has been perceived as someone who has quote unquote done everything right, like taken all the right steps, gotten the right degrees, done this, done that.
Mm-hmm.
You could do all of that and life will still kick down your door and beat your ass
Absolutely.
when
Okay.
you least expect it.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's it right there. Nobody is safe. And it just goes to show, like, you know, because for me, I don't even think everything is about karma either. It's just life happens. Sometimes life
Yeah.
gonna be easy. Sometimes life gonna be difficult as fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's how you come out of it. Because look at everything that you're coming out of, and you coming out with so much wisdom, and just like, you just seem so ready for the future. Like, you know, you have a bright future, right? You're not harping on what you feel you've lost, and you acknowledge that you have experienced loss, but
Yeah.
you're not harping on that. And you're not like, you know, because what would have been dangerous is if you're just constantly sitting here going on and on about your things. And, you know, I used to have XYZ. No, you know, like, you
Right.
got it once, you can get it again. You know, like,
Tenfold.
I know you have this
Yeah.
person that you created that you now get to share that stuff with when you get it. Like,
Right.
you know, you have a way
Exactly.
different perspective.
That is 100% it. I don't really think bitter works with me. Like, it's just
Mhm.
not like a character trait that works with Kayra. Like, bitter and Kayra just don't make sense. Like, it's like
Yeah.
2 + 2 = 8. Like, it's just not, it doesn't add up. So
Yeah.
I did, you know, I will say, because there are a lot of women, there's a lot of people who have been done wronged, or, you know, they are in a space where they feel that way, and you do
Mhm.
have to let yourself feel it. That's why I said I gave myself a limit though. I was like, December 31st, 2023, it done. Like, you
Yeah.
have a few more days, wrap it up, and then we need to move on, and we need to
Yeah.
focus on more and more things. Because, you know, something that starts to happen, right? I was looking at my journals, and a lot of my journals was just me being so sad, so depressed, and everything else. And then I bought a new journal at the top of the year, and I've been so intentional about just gratitude, being honest with my feelings, but just like
Yeah.
a different approach to how I was like looking at life. And like, my journals have become lists again, like manifestations again, like for my entire like pregnancy and everything. Like, it was just despair. And then like, and then I started to see the sun, and I was like, oh, like, we have to literally be conscious about like how we are viewing things and how we feel about things, and like learning to forgive. I really did get into like the Bible a lot. Like, I grew up in the church, but like, like you said, like, I'm not really like a Christian God type of person. I'm just like a very spiritual person in general. But I needed some assistance from all of the religions. So Buddhism, Confucianism, Hinduism, the Bible, every fuck will help me, because I was like, I need
That's
support.
good.
And I
You
started
need
reading
to
the
know the answer
Bible.
to this question.
Somebody gonna
I'm
answer
like,
me. It's too many of y'all motherfuckers out here for somebody to not answer me.
Yeah.
Right. Like, somebody has to know what's going on. So I'm gonna go and figure this thing out. And so the Bible,
You type it like Kermit. Hello.
yeah, like, what the heck? Like, please, I need to figure this out. Like, tarot, astrology, somebody give me, what the fuck is the stars saying about this? Like, what's going on? So I saw this Bible verse on TikTok the other day. This guy made this TikTok talking about Ecclesiastes 2:26, and basically it was just saying like, the whole like book of Ecclesiastes is just essentially like talking about the fact that like life is pointless. So you can either spend your life being so hung up on your enemies and what the wicked are doing and what they got going on, or you could just focus on your joy and praising God and living your life and living in your truth, and deciding that I get to be happy no matter what happened. And no, I don't need to seek vengeance. No, I don't need to talk down on nobody. We don't even need to write it down. Like, everybody is living the life that they want to live, and I just have to focus on living the life that I want to live. You feel me?
I'd
Hey,
just
I
be
feel
ready
ready
to
to
write that
write
down
out.
regardless. I'd be like, that's your baby father? You want me fuck you up? No?
I
Okay,
love a
cool,
good
cool,
Aries.
cool.
One thing about
cool.
Aries,
I love an
you ready
Aries
to-
too.
I'd be like, you want me
Don't be
cussy?
giving up fuck.
She said, I'm still
No.
writing it down.
Right. But ultimately though, it's really just like, we could be using that energy to do 10 other things, dude. Like, it's so not even like worth that. But anyway, the whole point of what I'm saying is that choosing to sit in your bitterness and your resentment and like walking around like that, I think it creates real illnesses in the future. Like, I feel like all that built up tension and anger and shit can like turn into like real physical problems, and like stress kills. And I don't like the way that looks on me. Like, I don't like to look stressed out. I don't like
Are you
to
a
be
Libra?
sad. I am a Libra.
You know,
I'm a
earlier I
Libra
was
sun
gonna
and
ask.
moon.
It's something else you said earlier. I said this girl sound like a Libra.
Big Libra energy.
Something else
Okay.
you
Big
said,
Libra
or I forget
energy.
what it was, but something else you were saying earlier. I said, I bet you this girl is a Libra, but I didn't want to. But after you just said it, I just don't think it looks good on me. I'm like, she a Libra. She a Libra.
Yeah, because
I
it's
don't
just
like to be stressed. I'm like, okay, Venus is talking.
mm,
She's a Libra.
Yeah.
yeah, we don't do that. I'm like, this is not cute. Like, it's all about having an abundance mindset in general, like just not believing that like this is all that life has to offer, that this is all that you deserve. Because like
Yeah.
you're just trying to fit that like square peg in a round hole, whatever that analogy is. It's like it's not fucking working.
It's
It's
not
So
working. Yeah.
let it go, move it out the way, and go and do something else. Like literally something else.
It's true. And
Yeah.
even with that, like one of my, and everybody knows this, one of my big goals is my dream is for this podcast to become me and Jeaiza's full-time job. Like like
Period.
literally as soon as and I know like it's a combination of me and Jeaiza manifested this shit together. Like Jeaiza had crossed the water, and as soon as I had let go of staying in Jersey and I just accepted coming to Georgia,
Yeah.
I want to say within a 48-hour period, we had like 3 different sponsors. Like, what y'all trying to do? We're trying to get y'all this money.
Honestly, you
And
just
we're
have
still
to
looking
listen.
for more.
And we
If
said,
you're
we
listening.
have plenty of room for more sponsors. Hey, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
it's
see what
just-
happens when you listen? You get
Yeah.
blessed.
You
Like you
let
get
go, you
blessed.
follow guidance.
But that's so important. You need to learn to be still. It is something that
Yes.
I did not know how to do until I got well, like I say well into my 30s. I just turned 31, but my
I was about to
30s
say,
was
girl, calm
really
down.
no, but like my turning 30 last year and like now this has been my period of learning to be still and learning what it means to like just sit and do nothing. And I remember being in therapy and telling my therapist, you know, sometimes when I get anxious, you know, I'll ask myself, okay, what's making you anxious? What triggered you? And I'll try to go through that whole process and I'll try to breathe. And she's like, at what point do you just stop and like do nothing? And I'm like, yeah, but if I anxious and I just stop, then I gonna feel like, oh my God, well, I have to breathe through this. And she's like, no, sometimes you anxious because your body just needs to sit still and not think about
Period.
anything, not have any kind of stimulation. Sometimes you just need to be grounded. Sometimes your
Yeah.
foot, she's like, you know how people say touch grass? She's like, sometimes you just need to go touch grass. Like,
It's
so
Literally that. Like you literally,
embracing
if you can't go to the rainforest, go sit in the park and just
and
sit. Like touch grass.
I
Like,
told y'all therapy is just a bunch of co-opted spirituality. That's what
listen.
mind you, I am a psychology girly. I initially went to undergrad for psychology. Like I does this, but over the years I realized, oh, this is a bunch of co-opted spirituality. And I look for it because therapists are healers.
Yeah, and there's no complicated answer. There's no like, oh, well, I need to go on this retreat and I need to do this meditation and I need sometimes you don't know what's next for you because you haven't sat still in so fucking long. You running full speed through life and God just behind you trying to keep up and your little Usain Bolt looking ass won't stop to just fucking listen to what a universe or God or whoever, the fucking trees, I don't care. Somebody trying to tell you something. And you might be listening to this podcast, dumbass, and you've been running full speed for so long. So allow me to be the bitch to tell you, go home today, sit your ass down somewhere, shut the fuck up.
Facts.
And listen. Like, write some shit down, whatever comes to mind when you sit down and you listen. But like, dude, if we don't stop, if we don't hit pause, at some point, you are never going to get it. It is never going, your mind ain't gonna wake up to what it is, whatever it is you need to be listening to. So I sorry if I had to cuss you, but go sit down. Go sit down.
It's okay. Like,
go sit down.
Time
out.
Go in your corner and stare at the wall. Yeah. It's actually very beneficial. And that's so true. People really don't spend enough time with themselves in general. Everybody's running. They go through breakups. They're on to the next person or they have like, you know, all these different things going on. And sitting still is a lost art. We don't promote it enough. We don't talk about it enough. We just don't really like embrace
avalanche
stillness.
Legit, you know, I feel like I
Still
don't
is
go
a
back.
lost art.
I legit feel like I said that on Instagram last year, I think. I remember posting a picture and saying like I either said it's a lost art or it's that it's so slept on, something like that. But it's like, yo, being still is just so fucking slept on.
I
Like,
remember you said being still is
yeah. I'm like, baby,
Yeah.
just sit the fuck down
Sit
and be
down.
Just sit
quiet.
down.
Yep.
Yeah, like focus on you for a moment. Because it's actually like once you get to know yourself, like life is super lit. And like know yourself on a spiritual level to the point where like you can just start to rely on your intuition without questioning it. Like, or you don't have to like be asking every 2 seconds, like, what's this? What's that? You just feel it and you move in that direction and you just lean in. And then it becomes, it's like a reprogramming, I feel like, of like the ego. Like you're no longer operating off of your trauma. You're no longer operating off of other people's thoughts and ideas and beliefs. You are in such alignment with yourself that like you're just able to move through the world a little bit more confident, like a little bit more just like trusting in yourself and in your faith. I have my TED talk that I did back in 2020 called Faith and Bad Faith. And that spoke on John Paul Sartre's philosophy that like if you believe in bad things, like bad things are going to happen. So if you know that, don't believe in the bad thing. Like just set your energy and your intention off to like what you want. So if work-life balance is something that you're striving for, you shouldn't automatically be like, well, I can't have that because then I ain't gonna have the money. Like that you've already just set yourself up for that reality.
True.
As opposed to figuring out how can I achieve both? How can I make necessary concessions to make this work for me? If you're going through something painfully traumatic and it's like, well, I can't go over it because my baby father do da 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 da. And it's just like now you have set yourself up into a reality that you're choosing to exist in versus figuring out how can I navigate through this situation and get to a specific space that feels good for me and feels like for me first and foremost, and then like the baby and like what will make me feel better. And it's not going to happen tomorrow. You're not going to wake up and be where you want to be at, but you have to do that like 1% every day to like get to that space. It's conscious, it's intentional, and it is like real fucking work. Like you don't just get to tweet about it. You don't just get to like reshare something on your story talking about I'm healing. No, like that's not it. Okay.
Jeaiza, we don't have the pum button. We got
access sponsor for our pum button.
I need a gunshot.
Everything, because let me tell you something. That right there is the fucking key. You could say what you're doing. But you know what? Like that fuck up. The chicken's gonna come to roost. Is that the phrase? Life's gonna show you if you fucking doing that shit you say you doing.
For real. Exactly. Because if you're not doing the work, it's gonna show. Like it's like the student that's been copying his homework off of everybody all year. And then at the end, when it's the big test, when he by himself wondered why he failed, and it's like, well, you wasn't doing the work this whole time, babe. Like you can't be mad that she got an A. Baby girl was studying. So it's just kind of like if you was letting girls do your homework all school year, you can't be vexed that you fail an AP exam.
Because you're not AP.
You wasn't doing the work.
AP.
Exactly. No, but that's what it'll be like.
With a word from God.
Listen, Kayra been shooting from the time I hit record, dog. Somebody in their car on the way to walk getting their ass beat right now. You're welcome.
You know
You're
what?
welcome.
You're welcome.
You can hate me. I don't mind. It's okay.
I'm gonna say this. For every person who feel like they're getting their ass beat, it gets so many people who feel so freed and empowered and light, right? From hearing like, oh, this ain't just me. My shit, I ain't the only person whose shit falling apart. That's a part of life, babe. That's a part of life.
It happens.
It's a part of life, and you can rebuild. It's gonna be okay.
You just have to get the fuck up and do the work, okay? Go touch grass. Sometimes doing the work looks like laying down in the grass. Sometimes doing the work looks like writing a love letter to yourself. Sometimes doing the work looks like therapy. Sometimes it looks like taking yourself an ice cream. Sometimes it looks like getting a pedicure. Sometimes it looks like reconnecting with an old friend. Like the work is different, but what it has to be is intentional. You have to intentionally remove yourself from spaces and people that harm you. You have to acknowledge and take accountability for the role that you played and forgive yourself for that. Like, you can't just be like, oh, all these things happened to me. He did this to me. He did that to me. You have to be able to see where you did some shit too and be like, I forgive you, girl. And honestly, I forgive him. I forgive all of them, because it don't make no sense for me to sit here and hold on to all of this, because there's no space for that in this new reality that I want for myself.
That's true.
You gotta visualize, go on that Pinterest board, think about what you want this life to look like, what you want this life to feel like. Okay, this apartment didn't work out. It won't gonna work out. No way. Like, I was never gonna grow here. It was a 1-bedroom. I have a kid now. We needed to move anyway. So now we just need to like pivot, and we just have to think about what's next. And I really do hope that this does resonate with people, because it's like sometimes I just be chatting. I'd be like, I feel like I'm talking to myself, but
it does resonate. I promise you, it resonates. I can confidently speak for our audience and say that this shit is resonating.
Okay,
I don't have nothing else to say. I ain't even doing a fucking episode wrap up. You know where to find us.
You know what? Period.
Yes.
And who the fuck gonna beat our asses? That's what
nobody.
We want to know.
You know where to find us. There's nothing left to say. Gems have been dropped, except I do want Kayra to promote herself. And
I was about to say, slow down, Tiger. We do need to know where to follow Kayra. Like,
I was just gonna say thank you guys. Like, thank you. Like I said, thank you for watching for the BM series, because that was me getting back into art and like creating and putting myself out there after not doing so, because I had become complacent in my career. So thank you for supporting my art. My art is important to me, and I do be having a lot to say. So you can check out my stuff at my Instagram page, Kayra Jay, KayraJay. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube. You can check out my website, www.kayrajay.com, where you can see all of the shows that I've produced, my TED Talk, my modeling, all of the artistry that I've been doing over the years. And you can also reach out to me from those pages for me to be on your show. I model, I act, I rap. I just dropped a diss track the other day. Like, I just be, I will, because I just be doing stuff.
I love a good diss track.
Yes, you can stream my diss track on Apple Music, Spotify, whatever.
Period.
Send me the link, so I can add you to one of my Zodiac playlists. I'm gonna figure out which Zodiac. But listen,
I get you.
Send me the link.
It's big Libra energy on there. Me and Cardi B have the same birthday, and I really do fuck with that lady. So yeah. So anyway, that's me. That's all. Thank y'all for having me on this podcast again. I will come on here anytime you ask. So I love you.
Of course. I love you right back. Thank you so much.
We love you, girl. Thank you for doing this.
So much has been said. Yeah, that's it. That's the episode. See you next week. Deidre, tell these people touch grass and bye.
Touch the fucking grass. Bye.
The Good Up Podcast is sponsored by the Virgin Islands Lottery. This podcast is Virgin Islands hosted and produced by Deidre Ritter and Jeaiza Quinones Ivory. Follow us on all social media platforms at Good Up Pod. Join the VIP section over at patreon.com/gooduppodcast and get access to exclusive bonus content, or visit our website and read more about our episodes at goodupvi.com. This season of the Good Up Podcast is proud to be sponsored by Empath Psychological Services, The Blend Collective, and Greater Changes.